Hello, my name's Lydia and I'm a costume and wardrobe stylist for TV commercials, music videos, and I've done TV and film as well. And I've taken the pledge to be real in support of YMCA's Be Real campaign in partnership with Dove. And I'm joining the movement to create a body confident nation. So how am I doing that? Okay, so there's 4 principles to the campaign. Number 1, to reflect reality. So I pledge to limit or stop editing my social media pictures. I'm also going to reflect reality by just powering on through if I make any mistakes or stumble on my words in this video, which I'm likely to do, so but I'm going to carry on regardless. Number 2, reflect diversity. So I pledge to hold brands accountable by speaking out. And another way I can do that in my job is if I receive the casting head sheets for a commercial that I'm working on, for example, and I think that the casting choices are not diverse enough, I will speak to the production team about that and let them know my feelings on that. Equally, if I think it's encouraging unhealthy body image in some way, I'd let them know about that too. Number 3, promote health and well-being. So I pledge to talk more about what my body can do and not what it looks like or can't do. And number 4, promote the pledge to family and friends. So as a stylist, I've worked with many actors, dancers. I've created the looks for dancers in various music videos, for example, Katy Perry, Little Mix and Kylie. I've dressed musicians, I've dressed models and regular people in personal styling situations. And I can say, regardless of size and shape, from what I've seen, anybody can suffer with body image issues, regardless of how they look or who they are. There would often be times when I would see women looking at themselves in the mirror, not happy with this or that, and all I can see is a incredibly beautiful, talented person in front of me. But obviously, that's not always what we see of ourselves. But it's not exactly a new phenomenon. If we look back into the past, women and men have gone to extreme lengths to conform to whatever the perceived notion of beauty is of the time. If we think about the Victorian era and the lung-crushing corsets that they would wear, quite literally deforming their bodies in order to create that perfect hourglass figure, which was deemed the most beautiful type of figure of the time. Only to completely get rid of that in the 1920s, where they would then, rather than push the bosoms up with the corset, they would strap them down completely, because the new trend was to have a boyish looking figure with a flat chest and have a sleeker silhouette. So, even though the body image changed, they would just replace one corset for another, and it still caused women to faint or exacerbate other medical conditions like tuberculosis and pneumonia, and sometimes would have fatal consequences. And if we go back even further into Tudor England, sugar was a luxury item because it was very expensive and only the rich could afford it. So that's a very loud car going past. But yeah, so only the rich could afford sugar. And Queen Elizabeth I was supposed to have had quite a few black teeth. And if the lower classes wanted to give the impression of wealth, then they would blacken the teeth cosmetically on purpose. So it looked like they had, they had money, which when you think about how people will now spend so much money to get perfect pearly white teeth, that just seems crazy. In the Middle Ages, long faces and high foreheads were considered to be beautiful. So much so that women would get rid of their facial hair, their eyebrows, so it would look like their foreheads were higher and their face longer. And they would even pluck their hairline here to bring back their foreheads as much as they could, because that's what was beautiful at the time. Nowadays, we have lots of diets, slimming regimes, too many. And it was no different back in the 1800s. Women were encouraged to ingest tapeworms in order to lose weight. So I'll just let you think about that for a moment. Tapeworms, that's disgusting. And I like to think our practices have moved on somewhat since then, if not the purpose behind them. It wasn't only women. In the time of Henry VIII, men were very envious of King Henry's shapely calves, so much so that they would stick padding down the back of the tights to, create the shapely calf. And we all know what they did with the cod pieces as well. So it wasn't just women who fell victim to these beauty practices. Some of these examples may sound funny, but many of them actually made women quite sick. And although we may not be painting our face with toxic lead anymore, like women used to do, we're still trying to conform to something that may not actually exist. If we look at recent history, for example, the 1960s onwards, body shapes have gone through many trends. From the 60s, the model Twiggy, the straight up and down, stick insect figure was what was attractive. And then come the 80s, it was more of an athletic build with, Cindy Crawford and the like. And then it went back to skinny again in the 90s. And then in 2000, it was the toned abs. If we think of Britney Spears and her toned abs and low slung jeans. To now, when we have Kim Kardashian, the big boobs, the big bum and the tiny waist. Again, another body image that people aspire to have, but it's completely dependent on the time in which you're living. So we can notice through the constant changing ideas of the past that there is no one idea of beauty or the perfect body shape. There's, lots of things we can do to change or disguise or manipulate our shape or features. But as a stylist, I would say the people who look good are the people who look comfortable. And that is always going to be the same. That's going to always be the truth. You could be someone of any shape or size and have a very simple style, t-shirt, jeans and trainers, for example. But if you look comfortable, you look good. And that goes for for people who have a more, eclectic taste, for example, bright colors, bold prints, voluminous layers and all the rest of it. If you look comfortable, you look good. So I think, if you stay true to yourself and you stay healthy, you can't go too far wrong. Social media can be a source of inspiration or a source of negative feelings about your body. And I would suggest, instead of following people who make you feel inadequate, follow people who have a positive message when it comes to body image, like model Charlie Howard. I like the fact that she will never edit her posts. She will show her cellulite on her legs. She's a beautiful model, but she still has cellulite. Shock, we all have cellulite. There's also a blog called My Pale Skin Blog, and that's a girl called M. Ford who gives you lots of tricks for putting, on makeup if you're battling acne, but mostly she just encourages followers to look beyond their imperfections. There's plus-sized model Sunny Turner and body confidence advocate Alex Light. So I would recommend that, we enjoy our bodies. They work really hard for us. We'll only ever have one. And there's a quote that I really like from a famous American poet called Edgar Allan Poe. And he said, "There is no exquisite beauty without some strangeness in the proportion." I really like that. I think that's very true. So let's go forth and be body confident and happy with what we have.